Hi guys, my name's Bex and welcome back to my channel, and today I'm bringing to you my June wrap up. So guys, it is that time again. It is time for another wrap up, and I'm so excited to be bringing to you my June wrap up because I actually read some books this month. So we're all super excited. In the month of June, I ended up reading 9 books, which is just, it's a real achievement considering last month I only read 3. So I am back on track to my normal reading amount, so I absolutely love that. And I've had some pretty interesting reads this month. So without further ado, let's get into the stats as always first. So with the 9 books that I read this month, I ended up reading a total of 3,302 pages. And the genre breakup for these books was 4 fantasy, 2 sci-fi, 1 historical fiction, 1 dystopian, and 1 contemporary. I feel like I've done a really good job in reading different genres this month, although fantasy and sci-fi, as usual, are always higher than every other one. But I also read a dystopian book this month, which, as you know, dystopian is one of my favorite genres, so I love diving back into a dystopian. And the type of books I read this month was 5 physical, 2 audiobooks, 1 novella, and 1 graphic novel. The ratings this month were also all over the place, with 1 2.5 star books, 2 3-star books, 2 3.5 star books, 2 4 stars, and 2 4.5 stars. So that's really good. All of them were like average or above average. Let's just dive straight into the books now, going from my least favorite all the way up to my favorite book of the month. So least favorite, let's get into it. My least favorite book of the month was Wicked Saints by Emily A. Duncan. So it follows a girl named Nadia who hears whispers of gods in her ear, and everybody wants to kill Nadia because she has this gift that she can talk to the gods, and basically a prince assassin comes after her. She must then go on the run, where the prince is called back to his palace, and she runs into Malachias, who has some dark secrets. Now this story was sold to me as brutal and bloody and gory, with monsters that steal your heart, but that's not necessarily what we got. So talking about the things that I liked about this, I was really swept up in this book. When I first started reading it, I got sucked into the world and the world building and the atmosphere, and I really enjoyed that, and I absolutely flew through this book. Although it did take me a while to figure out who the characters were and to get to know them, but quickly I realized that this book is really similar to the Grishaverse and to some of Leigh Bardugo's writing. It was kind of like fan fiction, I guess, and I could pull way too many comparisons to the two. It just didn't do it for me. Like, in the end, I thought I loved it, and then I stopped and I had to think about it, and I was like, that wasn't that good. Like, I was so entranced with the writing and how quickly I could get through it, and I was so immersed, and then when I had to look back and reflected, there were a lot of problems. Like the main character, like, she was physically saying how the love interest was not good, but she didn't care. She recognized his flaws, but was like, eh. And the last, I'd say 60 pages was so rushed that I actually had to stop a few times and flip back and go what just happened here? So you know that it's not that great of writing when you fly through it and actually have to backtrack because you feel like you've missed something. And for me, this one just missed the mark a little bit. I thought the premise was incredible. However, the execution was a little bit off for me. This book was also a buddy read from Jean for Happy Indulgence. I'll leave Jean's links down below if you want to go check her out and check out her review, because it wasn't a good start to our buddy reading together, because this book we had a lot of feelings. We actually had a video chat and talked about it, and it was a mess. Moving on to the 3-star books, the first one I want to talk about is Memento by Amy Kaufman and Jay Kristoff. This is the novella that came with pre-ordering Aurora Rising. Now, let's get into this first. Was really good. Loved getting back into the Illuminate world. Everything is really detailed and amazing like it was in those books. However, we follow a different character in this one, Olivia, and this is before the attacks on Corenza in the first Illuminate book. And it's kind of like the origin story of Aiden, which I thought was amazing. However, do I think the value for money of this is correct? And normally I'm basing it on enjoyment, I'm not basing it on value for money. However, when you pay shitloads to get Aurora Rising just because it comes with this, and this is 80 pamphlet pages, mate, it's not worth it. I promise you that. I wish I had thought better of it, but we know how my self-control is, and it got out of control and decided this was a good idea. But after reading it, I can tell you that it wasn't. Loved it, was really good. The writing's phenomenal as usual. Wish there was more of it, but there's not. Anyway, moving on, because I can't really say too much more about that one, I guess. The next one I want to talk to you about is my next 3-star, which is Again But Better by Christine Riccio. And this is a story about a girl named Shane who has been doing college all wrong. She has been getting amazing grades, but she has 0 friends, and she wants to change that. So she goes into an internship program and travels abroad over to London, where she's decided that she's going to take her college life a different route. This is Christine's debut novel, and I love Christine. Everyone, I think, on BookTube at some point has watched Christine's videos, and I started watching Christine's videos all way back when I found BookTube, and I wanted to support her, and I did, and this was a 3-star. Like, that's not bad. I was concerned that I'd hate it, and for the first half, I did. But the second half of the book really picked up for me. This is told in first-person point of view. Our character Shane is telling us the story. There's a lot going on in here. So for the first maybe 40 pages, I had a few eye rolls, and you know it's not good when you have some eye rolls. This is a bit corny, this is a bit cringy even. There were so many comparisons here that you could take from Christine, which, you know, the author always puts a little bit of themselves in every book, I suppose, but this was like blatant. But there is a trigger if you don't like reading about cheating, because there's some blurred lines in here, and I do not appreciate it. I didn't like that aspect of the story, but I kind of just traveled along with it and was just like, all right, I'll go through this and ignore it, but it did ultimately affect my final rating. Cheating is not something that I think should be like tested and written in a young adult novel where young people will read and go, oh, well, she did it. I thought that could have been done better, but I think overall it was okay. I enjoyed reading it. However, I do see its flaws. I do see that cheating wasn't pulled up and said, oh, this is wrong in the end of the day, you know? It was kind of flirted with a little bit, which I don't like. I think the writing was okay. First person point of view, where it's like, I did this, I did that, isn't my favorite to read, but it was straightforward and was easy to get into. I thought I would like the travel aspect more than I did, which is sad because I'm a traveler. If you've been here for a while, you know that I love traveling, and that's like one of my favorite things to do. I get FOMO when I'm not traveling, and I thought this would really bring me the London, like, I need to go vibes, and it didn't. But it was just okay. That's all I've really got to say about it, is that it was okay. Now moving on to my 3.5-star reads, and moving on to Dread Nation by Justina Ireland. This is the Quarterly Club book pick for the last few months. Our live show is on the 6th of June on Book Roast channel. I will leave Book Roast channel linked down below, as well as my announcement video to the live show of Dread Nation. It will be at 11 PM British time, so whenever that is in your time zone, join us. For us Australians, it is on Sunday. But this was my pick, and I was really excited to read it. It is about a girl named Jane who 2 days after she was born, the dead rose on the battlefield of Gettysburg. And in this new America, if you will, there is a Native and Negro Re-Education Act where children are sent to be taught how to put down the dead for good. And she is trained to become an attendant, so where she basically protects the white people, and that's not the life she wants. She wants more than that. Then she's swept up in politics, and it just goes from there. This book, I actually really enjoyed. I think the plot of this was really good. It was fast-paced. It was enjoyable. I think the language and the writing wasn't my favorite, but I loved the main character, Jane, and I thought she brought us something a little bit different, and I thought she was underestimated as a character. It scared me in parts. I'm not good with zombie movies or things like that, and that's basically what's happening. The dead have risen on the battlefield. They're called shamblers, and I don't really like that, so I couldn't read this like all around my sleeping time. But I think this book was just missing the extra wow factor that I thought it would have, and obviously the writing wasn't my favorite, and it did take me away from the story a bit in some points, which I didn't really enjoy, and the language used, because it was a lot different. It was good, but I'm hoping it can get better. This is a first book in a series, so I'm hoping to still pick up the next one. Next up is another 3.5 star, and it is Mira Tidebreaker by Danielle Page. And this basically follows the origin story of Mira. I think going into this I had quite low expectations, but I actually really enjoyed this book. It was a superhero novel, and you know I love those sort of things. And it follows Mira, who is heir to the throne of Zebel, and she is destined to wear the crown with a hand-picked husband by her side. But when the inhabitants of Zebel plot to overthrow the Atlantis throne, Mira isn't sitting idly by and waiting for the crown to be given to her. So she sets off to kill the heir to the throne, which is of course Arthur Curry. The story goes from there. What I really liked about this story was the artwork. It is in blue and green tones, but with her hair of red and her father's hair, it like really stands out, which I really enjoyed. It was very detailed and really pleasing to the eye to look at. The plot in the story was fast paced. However, I do think there were a few plot holes. Overall, some missed opportunities there. I think the plot could have been better. I think it could have been more streamlined, but some of the things that happened didn't really make sense. But the characters were fantastic. I think our main character Mira was kick-ass, and I loved seeing Arthur, and I loved seeing Arthur Curry in a different light. I feel like what we've seen of Arthur Curry on TV is a lot different to the one in this book, and that's what I really liked about him. It was refreshing. It wasn't what I expected. However, I did want a more of a backstory on Mira, and I think this is what this book could have needed, rather than just picking up from where they gave us. But what this book did have that I absolutely hated was insta-love. Nobody likes insta-love. This was really good. I definitely recommend it, and I can't wait to pick up more of these ones. Hopefully DC bring out more of these bigger graphic novels following superheroes, because I would love that. Moving on to my next book, and my first 4-star read I want to talk to you about. It is Not a Drop to Drink by Mindy McGinnis. And this follows a dystopian world where water is gone, and they're kind of doing whatever they can to protect the water they've got. Now, Lynn and her mother have a pond on their land, and they do whatever it takes to protect this water source. But there is smoke on the horizon and weird footprints around the pond, and the story kind of goes from there. It's exciting. I really liked the characters in here, and I like the dystopian take this book had. I do think there was some stuff in the end that moved the plot forward, but was kind of a little bit unnecessary, and I didn't really enjoy it. And there were some things that happened in here, like for example a death, which didn't feel like it connected to the story. And at the end I kind of had to remember, like, oh, that person's dead. But it didn't really seem like there was any reason for it. But I really enjoyed reading this one. It was a really fast-paced book, and I could really just dive in and immerse myself. I think I read it in maybe 2 days, and I enjoyed it. It was a good book, and it was a good start to a series, which I really would like to continue. Now we are reaching really high up on my list. This is my 3rd favorite book of the month, and it is another 4-star read, and it is A Big Ship at the Edge of the Universe by Alex White. Now, this is one of the sci-fi reads I read for the month, and I really enjoyed this. This one has been recommended to me from Jess Reads Books and my friend Bunny. I will leave links to their YouTube and Bunny's Instagram down below, so if you would like to go follow. And I really loved it. It was a sci-fi I couldn't put down. It had spaceships, it had like race cars, treasure hunting, so much more. It was such a really amazing read. It follows Boots Ellsworth, who many moons ago was a treasure hunter. But now she is washed up with limited money and kind of conning people on like fake salvages. But during this time, she finds something real, which is the Harrow, which is a famous warship that can kind of cause untold destruction. And whoever has their hands on this ship kind of has the fate of the world in their hands. And then Boots comes across a girl named Neela, who is a race car driver, and her world was going fine until she witnesses Mother killing a fellow racer and is framed for the murder and on the run. And they end up on a smuggler's ship, and they've got to try to escape Mother and find the Harrow, and it's crazy, and I really enjoyed it. I think Alex's writing wasn't anything special, but what was special was the uniqueness of the world and the uniqueness of the magic system, which was weaved throughout this story. I found the story atmospheric, and everything was so very vivid, as well as our main characters that we read from their perspective were really incredible to read from. They were unique, and I loved how wonderful and complex and diverse all of the characters were. I feel like this is such a good start to a series. So this is the Salvages series, and I know there's another one out which is A Bad Deal for the Whole Galaxy, and I cannot wait to read that one as well. So highly recommend if you're into sci-fi, this is for you. Quite a detailed sci-fi. It's probably not for beginners. If you're loving the sci-fi genre, this is definitely for you. And next up, we're on to my 4.5-star reads of the month, and I'm going to talk about these two together because they are in a series, and that is The Lost Hero and The Son of Neptune by Rick Riordan. So this is a series following on from the Percy Jackson and the Olympian series. This is the Heroes of Olympus series, and I read The Lost Hero. This was on my TBR for the month, but as soon as I finished it, I knew I had to pick up The Son of Neptune. Let's basically just go into this book because obviously The Son of Neptune follows on and I don't want to be a spoiler. It follows a guy named Jason who wakes up on a bus holding a girl's hand and he doesn't remember anything. He doesn't know who he is, why he's there, how he got there. He doesn't know anything from his past, and his girlfriend Piper and friend Leo are really confused that he doesn't know anything, and then monsters start attacking. So they are rescued and taken to Camp Half-Blood. Obviously, the three of them are demigods. They descend from the gods, and the story goes from there. But both Piper and Leo have a secret, and it's a lot. There's a lot going on. I feel like I saw Rick Riordan's development in this book, and in this one, I felt like it was so much better. The adventure was so much cooler and everything was so much more detailed in these stories than the Percy Jackson series. I love the mythology aspect that are in here. I loved the characters. I loved that you could see past characters in this series as well and you weren't just following new characters. And I was looking forward to that so bad. Because I obviously loved the characters in the Percy Jackson series, so I loved seeing them again in this one, and these books are just, they're incredible. I really enjoyed. 4.5 stars. If you liked the Percy Jackson series, this is for you. If you like adventure, this is for you. They're searching for things, but there's a bigger picture going on, and I can't spoil it, but I loved this. That is it from me today, guys. Those are the books that I read in the month of June, and I hope you enjoyed my wrap up and watching me talk about them. If you did like this video, please give it a big thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more and have done already, and chat to me down in the comments. Let me know what books you read in the month of June. If you've read any of the books that I read in the month of June, let's talk about it in the comments. Let's discuss. I would love to talk to you guys. But that is it from me today, guys. I make videos every Monday and Thursday, and I'll see you in a new one. Bye!